Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Behind the Dice here at Cabot Crossing. And this is where we talk about different games, usually that we just played, which we did just play this one, which is Unbound Realms, a multi-genre 5e evolved game system, basically.
Put up the lower third.
Yeah. You can find it over here, Aspire Games and .gg. And Steven here is with us. He is the main creator, who you may know from back in the day of SW5E.com. So it's kind of an evolution originally, and foundation at least from that.
If you like SW5E, you'll like this more.
Yeah, and that is the Unbound Realms RPG, which just had a Kickstarter, and you hit your goal, right? You went over your goal.
Yep.
And probably by the time you see this, you should be having late pledges available. So,
yep.
So we're going to talk about this. We just played session 3, the final session of the adventure arc that Greg GM'd. You can go check, if you haven't watched it yet, go check it out on the playlist for Genre Play or the playlist for Unbound Realms. So what do we think? Where do we want to start on our thoughts? What do you want to do?
I'll go ahead and start because to me it's one thing I'll probably never do is run a 5e like a D&D 5e game, right? Because there's so many things out there now that I just think it's almost a waste, and I'm not a big Wizards of the Coast fan. But if I were to run a 5e system, it'd probably be this one because it's like if you take, and I know you never played Pathfinder, Steve, but it's like if you took the good things from Pathfinder and you just ported them into 5e in a way to kind of make things jive a little better, make things make more internal sense with each other, right? Then that's kind of what Unbound Realms feels like to me. It's and on top of that, you can't. To me, the biggest selling point is that it is a genre agnostic system that can work with just about any genre. It's kind of the biggest thing for me. Because if I were to do this Wild West one, I don't know what I would do. Because I'm not a rules light person, so I don't want to do rules light usually if it's up to me, right? And so it's like, what system would I use for something like steampunk, Wild West? Because we just randomly picked that, right? There's not a lot out there, right? So you can just pick up Unbound Realms and go with that. So to me, that's kind of the biggest strength of it, I would say.
That's the intent too. I mean, you could play the traditional fantasy, especially if you like the Forgotten Realms style sword and sorcery fantasy. I think it's just we refer to it as 5e plus, and that it's just an enhanced 5e experience at its core. But then it's just the versatility and modularity customization are dialed to 11.
And I don't want to get people confused because it's not D&D 5e, right? It's going to feel different. The core mechanics of the 5e type system where you have a DC, you roll a 20, add your bonus. Sure, that's all the same. Mm-hmm. But there's a decent bit different to with it that it's not like if you play Tales of the Valiant by Cobalt Press. When you play that, you just feel like you're playing 5e, honestly. Like I played it the other month, I guess, and I literally felt no different from 5e when I played it. I played one of the rogue class or something like that, and it felt like I was just playing D&D 5e. Yeah. And here, if I were playing an operative, which is kind of like the rogue, right? It would feel totally different because I've played it with Star Wars 5e, right? And I've seen Colton play it. It feels substantially different. Like there's a lot of stuff that you're doing differently, which I like.
Yeah, having just played a rogue, I would say that Unbound Realms focuses on different mechanics in a way that even though as I'm rolling a d20, even as I'm playing an operative, and so I know, I get sneak attack and it works similarly, and I get cunning action and it works similarly. So because I'm really familiar with 5e, I'm familiar with those things here in Unbound Realms. But I'm not finding a lot of the I think it works this way because of 5e, and I'm wrong because of its Unbound Realms. It's fairly intuitive what's the same, and if it's different, it's notably different.
Or it's just added.
Right, it's either a different feature entirely, or it's been explained clearly that it's broken away. And then there's a different focus on mechanics to make it feel differently with what do you call it, Steven? The action down to bonus action down to reaction that you've done?
Action economy?
colloquially we refer to it as action shrinking, but that's not actually a defined term. It's in the same way that I call it peanut butter. Action shrinking is what I call it. So action becomes a bonus action to reaction, and then eventually you can get it down to object interaction. So you can, at level 12-ish, I think operative can do it at level 11. You can shrink it for 2 points down to an object interaction. Right?
Interesting.
And then even as I'm like getting things that would normally be done as a bonus action can be done as a reaction, and even as I'm suffering, thinking, well, other things take a reaction, like that's a valuable resource. I don't want to lose that. I looked and I saw at level 5, I get a second reaction. So,
that's
how you did that one thing when you used the focus to make it reaction. I see. That's cool.
So the 3 focus classes, mine, it's enhancers on a strength attack where I can get 10 hit points, knock somebody down, or I forget what the third one is offhand. Mystic is the martial arts, so it's the double punch. It's dodge as a bonus action, but you have to spend the focus. So all 3 of the focus classes work that way.
And that guy was multi-class, Mystic and operative. Yeah, but totally.
Squishy.
And the one thing I'll say about Daphne, if anyone's ever played a rogue in 5e, D&D 5e, it gets really repetitive. You're literally just bonus action hide shoot, bonus action hide shoot, like that's literally your turn every single turn of combat most of the time. And this, you actually felt like you use your bonus action for a lot of different things. There are a lot of different options.
My subclass kicked in. I'll keep talking. I like that you have the attack replacers in combat. I don't know where they're falling in the final version, but essentially there's, for each skill, you can replace an attack in combat with some check using that skill that does a thing. And I was reading through them. It's fun because for my play style, I'm not going to use any that I don't have a good skill modifier on or that don't fit my character's combat style. So I really only have 2 or 3 options. But it's still fun customization. And then other people can take other options. And some of them seem really powerful, but they all have a chance of failing. So I guess if you're sacrificing an attack, maybe that's worth it.
Sacrificing attack's rough. Yeah.
Yep. Especially when you only have 1. Like there were a bunch of times there where, like in that last encounter, where I wanted to shove or grapple, and I just couldn't. Like my only attack, I couldn't justify it.
Couldn't give it up. Yeah. Interesting. I will say that I think this system is going to appeal to people like Colt and I more than others because we're not the rules light type people. We like the systems that actually have strategy and these type of things. So it's probably why we're talking the most.
Well, I like character customization. One thing I don't always like with class-based systems is I can't customize. Sometimes I feel like I'm a little trapped.
You can do whatever you want in this system.
Yeah,
you can literally take a feature from anything.
Yeah, this allows a lot more control to build the character the way I want. And then also, similar to what you mentioned too, it's like if you're looking for an alternative to D&D, I know Tales of the Valiant is almost identical, except for luck points and the optional doom points they do.
And a lot of people homebrew that in anyway.
Yeah. So it's not to knock them or anything, but it is very similar. And but so if you want something that's still very 5e-ish, but gives you a lot more options, then this game makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. And then especially, as you kind of hinted to, if you want to play something 5e that's not epic fantasy, then this is like the best game I can think of out there. There's only a few that kind of like Everyday Heroes plays around modern day 5e. And there's another game that I can't remember right now off the top of my head. It's also kind of a modern sci-fi 5e. But that's it. And this one allows you, as we've shown, to do all types of genres. So that's really good for building whatever setting you want.
Yeah, if you remember we started this like Unbound Realms. What does it use? Oh, it's anything? Okay. And we just kind of like had a poll or something on what we wanted to do most. And I think it ended up being steampunk Western.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the other things too about that is we have a very, I don't know the appropriate word to use for this. I'm going to say loose gaming license, and that we're really encouraging people that want to write and produce their own settings and release them. They can do that. We have like a policy as far as what you can print and what you can't, but like we want people to create their own settings that use this rule set, and just like encourage people to use their setting. That's a big thing that we like are very heavy on. I'm a shit creative writer. I'm a strong technical writer and a very weak creative writer, so I could not write a setting guide. I couldn't do it, but I could write mechanics for a setting guide.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, awesome.
Let's do a setting where we're all cats in space.
I'd do it.
Could, I guess.
I like it.
Yeah.
That brings my inner furry out.
Ooh. Wow. On that note,
How did you like being an artist?
An artiste.
I mean, it's like a bard but cooler because you can basically just choose whatever, however you want to flavor anything. I mean, it's like everything you guys have already said. You literally can flavor your character's abilities however you want. I just went with, I want her to be like this steampunk apothecary who just poisons people and tranquilizes people, and everything was based on saving throws. And of course, every time I did something, they made their save. So
except the one time, yeah.
But
last session,
there's a lot of versatility, like the ability to like be able to, for example, use this ability called a stinger, which I can choose what save they have to make. So I kind of have whereas like, your spells in, D&D 5e, it's like the save is the save. Well, here you have flexibility. Do I want it to be a con save or a will save? And you can flavor that however you want to flavor it. So it's not just, save or suck. It's you have choices of the save. So when you're fighting the big ogre, it was like, make a will save. When you're fighting the, weakling, little halfling, it's make a con save. So it was nice to have that flexibility, obviously.
Yeah. We have an Art of a Game episode where we talk about game balance slightly and how we don't like that games have gotten to this point, especially 5e, D&D 5e, where every class has to be effective in combat in almost the same way as every other class, right? And I think it's totally fine that Lucy, the character, the artist class, it's not the best class for combat, but if you saw last session, it was one of the best classes for everything else, right? And I think that's okay. That is a form of balance, right? So to me, that never really bothered me, that part of it.
No, and I'm definitely the type of, I'm a rules light kind of guy. Like, I'm not going to name the systems that I'm really high on right now, but they're rules light because I just like to be creative in like what it is that I want to do, and not have to necessarily be tied to a set of rules. But this system, if I'm going to play a crunchy system, I'm going to play this one because I can customize myself however I want to do it.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed strategic rules more than rules light. I don't know why, but
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I mean, my first real experience was 5e. I played a little bit of 3.5, but like you very quickly, especially if you like read about the game outside of the game and like care enough to learn the rules, you very quickly learn everything. It's like there are a few things that you'll always like forget, grappling maybe, but like you run out of ideas pretty fast because the mechanics are a strong base, but that's it.
Yeah, it feels like it never goes out of a base. Yeah, true. Yeah, especially if someone likes Pathfinder. I never played 2e, second edition Pathfinder, but like if you like first edition Pathfinder, but you think the rules are too crunchy and sometimes too ridiculous, and there's just way too many of them, then you'll probably like Unbound Realms because it's that perfect middle ground, which I've always liked Pathfinder, so that's just me. Yep. Except for grappling rules.
I've done Starfinder, but not Pathfinder. And I remember getting to a point of realizing, like, wow, you can just past level 3, you might be having a combat where every D20 roll, you're adding 6 different modifiers based on 8 different things, which is cool how much they incorporate, but not great for spending less than 12 hours playing.
I may have mentioned on multiple streams that my least favorite system became Starfinder after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, Starfighter Second Edition is going to be matching Pathfinder Second Edition, so I don't know if that's going to.
Which I've never played. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't played it, though.
they flattened a lot of the like bounded accuracy is one of the things I really like about 5e. It's not implemented well, but the core concept is great. And my understanding is that core Pathfinder 1, the first edition, has like no bounded accuracy, and like you add your level to everything, and so you very quickly eclipse things, and it gets out of hand. So I don't like that approach. So
It has like 40 AC.
Yeah, like there's a very strict approach to bounded accuracy in Unbound Realms, and there's some things that like, so I call it the golden formula, but like for AC, right? So your AC is always 8 plus your peanut butter, and then which is proficiency bonus if you haven't caught that. You can add 2 modifiers to your AC, 2 ability modifiers, not immediately, but features could potentially allow you to add 2, but not 3, and then you could add up to +6 from like enhanced items or features that give you a flat bonus, but that's the cap. That's it. You're done. Same deal with like weapons and so all these things have very clear boundaries and you can't go past them.
By the way, one of my favorite things about Unbound Realms is actually the AC and damage reduction. I've always kind of hated how plate mail is just like a flat AC and it makes you super high AC and it feels like it should be easier to hit, right? And also I kind of hate how in 5e pretty much everyone has the same AC by like level 5 because it's just written that way so that a fast guy has light armor, which brings him up to an 18. A fighter with a two-handed sword has an 18 because he's wearing plate mail, right? A medium guy has 16, but he gets 2 from his deck, so he has 18. I kind of hated that. Where this is like, if you're quick, yeah, you're hard to hit. If you're heavy armored, probably easy to hit, but you'll reduce a lot of damage. So
we also didn't use shields at all. Nobody
no one has shield.
I probably should have done that just for variety.
Yeah. But a little good thing. One of the ones that I struggle with the most that I'm not a huge fan of is probably Daggerheart with that. I don't know what I think about armor slots, and narratively speaking, it's like, what, your armor just starts flying off and you lose your armor?
Yeah. Please don't dislike this video, Daggerheart people.
Yeah, I like Daggerheart overall. Don't get me wrong. I like Daggerheart overall, but that part of it to me is kind of like, it's hard to justify in my head.
Do they keep the armor slots? Because we played a beta version.
They kept the armor slots. But it's what we did on our stream, where it's just one armor slot reduces the severity by 1.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of more thematic, in my opinion. Whereas you're damaging your armor and then you can repair it.
Yeah.
So I have a rule in the works for durability, which is exactly the same idea, where your armor gets progressively worse, your weapons get progressively worse. I don't know how far it will expand beyond armor and weapons because they're the most common ones, but then you'll have the opportunity to repair it while resting or paying somebody to do it. So that's something that will. I don't think it'll be ready for this first book, but I have 5 more planned, so it'll be somewhere.
Yeah. I just like the idea of after every hard battle, everyone just walks out naked because they don't have anything left on.
Don't let your dreams be dreams. You could just do that.
So speaking of cats in space.
Yeah, they're naked. What's
naked cat? Yeah. They have fur. That's the Egyptian cat.
There's actually a board game that is your cats in space, but I'd like to do a role playing.
Yeah,
you could totally do Unbound Realms with it.
Yeah, we did Secrets of Cats using the Fate system. That's Cats game. You should have been on there, Pat. I liked it.
I'd be the only dog.
Yeah.
Speaking of one of my more least favorite rules light systems, probably.
All right. So, anybody else want to say anything else before we kind of start to wrap this up? Any other thoughts on Unbound Realms?
I got no thoughts.
Go get your copy and try it out.
I'm going to rewind us 15 minutes, but there was one thing that I thought was really funny that Colton said, where he was talking about how, like, if something is similar to 5e, you're going to pick it up really fast, but if it's different, it's spelled out. We got the death and dying rules, which I wrote.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right.
So, like, it's literally the opposite.
That is a good point. Whenever I didn't know the Unbound Realms rules for something, step 1 was just use 5e rules.
Default
Step 2
5e,
was ask Steven. If I were sitting down, if I had the books, if I was game mastering, I probably would have dived into the rules a little bit more. But when you have a similar rule set that that you can fall back on, it's good to.
It actually makes it nice because it would be we could have done it here because it's nice to actually stop and look at what the rules say because we're kind of demonstrating the game. But if I were to actually play with friends and stuff, right? And I couldn't think of the rule, I didn't remember, I would just use 5e because why not? It's compatible, right? And it's better than like freezing the game for 15 minutes to go look up a rule, right? So it's one of the pros of this system is that it is ultimately compatible, right?
And there are a bunch of little things too that are like literally that exact thing. And even I do it too. So for instance, a bonus action, right? I hate the word bonus action because it implies it's an extra action you get as a bonus type of deal. So in Unbound Realms, they're called minor actions instead. So you just have one minor action you can spend, but they're functionally identical. So I still call them bonus actions. I will still always call them bonus actions, but for the new player, that language is bad. So there are, but even so, you can always fall back. Yeah, that's 100% like something I do it a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah. If anyone wants to look, I think the Death and Dying rules you did put out on Reddit or Discord. So check them out. They are kind of cool. I like the idea that you can still do some stuff even if you're in the dying condition.
Yep. So the idea, the oversimplification is that instead of just being unconscious immediately, there's instead of 3 levels of death saving throws, there are now 4. And then like when you go down, you roll a death save and then you roll them at the end of your turns like normal, or you take damage and whatnot. But like instead of just being unconscious, like you're slowed and then like you can only like do a little bit, you have disadvantage on tests and stuff like that. So they are better rules, more thematic, and I think it really fits. Like we mentioned in the stream today that I literally just had watched Gangs of New York, right? And there's all these scenes where a person is like wounded and like screwed, but they're not unconscious; they're just injured and not functional. That's represented better by these rules than traditional 5e.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking about you can go to aspiregames.gg and the blog, right? You can go there and see rule samples.
Yeah, and there's a link to the subreddit. A lot of the stuff that I post goes straight to the subreddit because that's my preferred platform, but we're all over the place.
Nice.
All right. So it sounds like we all are feel like it's a good 5e alternative if you don't want D&D, but you want something else and more customization.
Cats in space.
Or Cats in Space, or whatever genre of tone you want.
How about you run Cats in Space?
Yeah, there you go. You run Cats in Space and Unbound Realms.
Why do you want to do Cats in Space? It's getting weird.
I'll gladly be the GM for Cats in Space, and I'll just try to kill the cats.
Jesus Christ!
I know I'm evil.
All right.
I'm gonna get so much hate mail on this one now.
Yeah.
He wants to kill cats. What's wrong with this guy?
If I can do Samurai Cat in Space, I'm down.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, you could have laser swords. It's space.
Yeah.
Don't call it. We'll
These
call
rules
it
support laser swords and space.
a saber made of light.
Oh, you dishonor my whole litter. Now you will pay.
Yeah, that's it. We're gonna do. It's gonna be samurai.
I mean, it sounds like you have a setting guide you should write.
Samurai ninja cats in space.
It should be multicultural, right? So it should literally just be like any of those shitty gacha games, like Age of Empires, not Age of Empires, but like Age of Kingdoms or whatever, where it's all the different kingdoms, but instead it's cats in space. But there's like Japanese theme, like or origin cats in space.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Choose your
cat cultures in space.
Yeah.
Choose your culture.
Yes.
Right. You can be like a giant red orange tabby that's like fat wearing a kilt and like
That's exactly what I was thinking. That sort of thing.
A samurai cat. You could be exactly.
Get in my belly.
Mark, we can invite Victoria to have a Roman cat.
Shrek.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Roman cats. Yeah.
Why are we into this?
I don't know. We went into a strange tangent there. So we may work.
So glad
on
you
some
watched
settings,
to learn about Unbound Realms.
Yeah, be sure to go check out Unbound Realms. So just catches up, Steven. The Kickstarter is done. We'll probably have late pledges at this point. What's the timeline for release and that good stuff?
Ballpark a year, all things said and done. But this is our first book, so be patient with me. I have a structured plan as far as what things will be reviewed and when. We'll be doing a lot of surveys, and then most actively on a Discord, which everybody who has backed the Kickstarter will have access to. It'll have some level of public access as well, but really the goal is to have the digital copy done within a year.
Okay, awesome. And you have other books planned after that, right? So
6 total books, 5 more planned after this. And the goal, again, seeing how well this one comes out, is to do a book a year.
All right, awesome. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again for checking out another Behind the Dice. Be sure to check out Unbound Realms if you're looking, especially if you're looking for a 5e alternative. So, and remember, those late pledges should be available now. It's Unbound Realms RPG over Kickstarter, and you can find a bunch of information over here at the company's website, aspiregames.gg.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for letting us play your game, Steven, and I hope everybody enjoyed. We all enjoyed playing it, and hopefully everybody enjoyed the stream. So, and so that's it for today. So until next time,
Keep roaming.
Keep roaming like a samurai cat. I don't know.
Keep roaming, yeah. Keep roaming.
And remember, there is no spoon.
There.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
When the dice roll high, we touch the sky. But when they crash, it's a bad